Hi guys, PMQs was a farce once again, but I don't see how much longer Kemi Badenoch can stay as leader of the Conservatives as she struggles to land any real blows against the government or Starmer in particular. Perhaps she needs more time, but if things don't improve, it's likely there will be calls from within the Conservative Party for her to resign. So a number of things were discussed here, including the former Transport Secretary who resigned over a stolen or missing phone. However, instead of sticking to that issue, Badenoch brought up immigration, and it's as if she's been just brought out of a coma. Have a listen.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister talks about immigration. I think it's probably a good time to remind him that he was the one writing letters asking us not to deport foreign criminals. And he and his party voted against every single measure that we put in place to try and limit immigration. But, Mr. Speaker, the question today is what has been on the lips of all Labour MPs, including, I believe, the Health Secretary yesterday. The Prime Minister knowingly appointed a convicted fraudster to be his Transport Secretary. What was he thinking?
Okay, I really wish Starmer had responded with the line, fraudster. Are we talking about the leader of the opposition here, or are we talking about the former Transport Secretary? Because, you know, she had hacked into Harriet Harman's website some years ago, but unfortunately Starmer didn't go down that road.
Mr. Speaker, the previous Transport Secretary was right when further information came forward to resign. What a marked contrast to behaviour in the last 14 years. And she talks about immigration, record levels of immigration under the previous government, nearly 1 million. And she was the cheerleader. She was the one urging on the removal of the caps for work visas. She was thanking the previous Home Secretary for the work that was done. She championed it. She advocated it. Record numbers of immigration.
Okay, so once again, look, I don't agree with what he's saying here, but this is really a good line of attack. Because the Conservatives are being blamed by the Labour Party, by Reform UK, by others, as being responsible for high levels of immigration. So attacking Keir Starmer on whether he supported keeping people in the country or whether he and his party stood in the way of what the Tories were doing. The Tories had a massive majority, so they could do whatever the hell they wanted. Keir Starmer could not stop any legislation. And Kemi Badenoch knows that. But it's a stupid line of attack because the public and Reform UK and the far right don't care about what Keir Starmer did. They care about what you did, what your party did when you were in power. And all they look at is the figures. And the numbers went up under the Conservatives. So it's a ridiculous line of attack. And once again, I don't know how long Kemi Badenoch is going to be able to hold on because she's not really making any progress here. She's supposed to be setting the narrative. She's supposed to be, leading the attack against the government. She should be embarrassing Keir Starmer, but she falls flat on her face on every occasion. Once again, I don't know how many PMQs she needs to improve, because if she's not improving, if it's just getting worse and worse, and there's no real improvement, it's not really getting any worse, but you need to be able to hold the government to account or try to hold the government to account. You need to embarrass the government. You need to embarrass Keir Starmer. But you're not able to do that because you're trying to hark back to things that happened when you were in when your government was in charge, when your party was in charge. Talking about Keir Starmer blocking stuff or trying to block stuff, about what he was doing before, that's not resonating with the public. You need to say, this is what we would do in the future. But then, unfortunately for the Conservatives, they can't even go down that road because the public will not believe them. Too little time has passed since the last Tory administration. Perhaps she could talk about things the Conservatives would do in the future, maybe a year from now, but Kemi Badenoch probably won't be the leader of the Conservatives a year from now. It's all pretty pathetic. I've said before that I don't like the theatre of PMQs. It would be much better for democracy if a shadow minister stood up and asked a question and the Prime Minister or the minister responsible would respond to the question. But the theatre, you need to either avoid it completely or you need to play along. And Kemi Badenoch isn't able to do either, it seems. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.